Hello, welcome back to Stretford Paddock. I'm Casey. I'm joined by Kieran and Ronaldo, and we've just watched. Man United failed to beat Southampton and draw 1-1 at St Mary's. I probably can tell what your thoughts on that match are.
I mean, it was just not clinical enough. They had limited. They had no chances. They had that one Danny Ings header right before the goal. De Gea had nothing to do really for the game. Rashford was really poor today. He really was, and people get on our backs as well. Apparently, because they're English, we don't criticise. No, Rashford was really poor today. Yeah. I don't really know. I mean, what do you think, Ronaldo? Where do you think it just lacked today?
It's just worrying.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
I'm very, very, very worried about the rest of the season. And obviously, we'll get comments saying negative this, negative that. It's a bit of realism, really. If you're looking at the situation, you're looking at how we perform against these supposedly smaller sides. It's not looking very promising. And in the game today, we did have a lot of shots. We had a lot of chances. We just weren't clinical enough. There's just something missing.
I mean, it's a lot of the same that we saw last season or a couple of seasons before, where we were getting the chances, we were creating the shots, we just weren't scoring. I mean, you look at these stats now, you probably can see them on the screen. It was 1-1, the scoreline, but Southampton had 10 shots, we had 21, so we were double there. They had 2 on target, 8. We had 8 on target, so that's 4 times as many. And you look at possession, we had more possession, better pass accuracy, 18 key passes.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous numbers. And then there's also the fact that we got to consider that they had a red card. Yeah. They had 10 men on the pitch for 20 minutes.
Really only starting out matters, though, in these games is 1 goal to us, 1 goal to them.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line of it, and we've not won again. And if you look at the last 3 games now, we picked up 2 points against Wolves,
Palace,
Southampton and Palace.
Yeah.
Is that good enough?
That's 9 points.
Not a chance in hell that's good enough.
No. I mean, top 4, we're already, 5 points from a possible 12. That's already put us... Well, obviously we're not going to compete for the title, let's be real about that. Yeah. That's not even in the conversation, but it really does. You look back on since that night in Paris, and I know the stat is going to keep doing the rounds until we get a couple of wins under our belt, but what's it, 3 wins since...
3 wins in 16.
16. Yeah. That is just... That's relegation form.
Relegation battle form.
That's relegation form.
I mean, the only saving grace is that Tottenham haven't done particularly well.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, we can probably get the league table up now. Go with this, Producer Cam will get the table up for us.
Well, we're in 4th now as it is.
I think we're in 4th as it is, with a lot of, everyone around us to still play, obviously.
You'd expect...
We've got Arsenal 1 point above us, City, then Liverpool. So, that's kind of the 2 at the top. We're expecting to be at the top. Arsenal have a very big game against Spurs. We could do with that draw.
Yeah, Arsenal lose against Spurs. Arsenal fans calling us Banter FC. They lose against Spurs, only 1 point ahead of us.
Yeah.
You need to focus on our club. But obviously, a little bit of saving grace if the ones around us aren't doing well either. But really, I want to see my club doing better than it is now. And if you're looking in the comment section, guess who we've got in the comment section again? We've got Jacob
Martial here.
Once again, slagging off Martial, and he didn't even play today. So,
I mean,
I think he's got a crazy man obsession with Martial.
I don't think he likes Martial. I think you've got.
He's not played today, and he's still slagging him off. I don't know what he can do. You know what I'm saying?
Diesel the dog is
Diesel the dog.
That's exactly what we think of the game, Diesel as well. No worries,
But you look at it, I mean, like the international break coming up now.
Oh, I hate international football so much.
But people might. Some people sometimes see that as a good thing. Like maybe we can get our heads back straight. But I don't think it's going to be good for us. I think we've been trying to learn a system, and we're trying to learn this new system, and it's not going that well. But eventually we might get it. But then the international break just adds a spanner in the works that most of our players are going to go off, play completely different systems, completely different formations, have to play a completely different way before that's even in their heads what they need to play. So it kind of it's putting us back to square one. I mean, square one was 4-0 against Chelsea, but then
we weren't even that good that day. We said that after the game.
It shouldn't have been a 4-0. Chelsea should have scored.
Well, the issue is we've got a club now that's literally going into every game every week with no assurity whether they're winning the game or
even
not.
Home games.
Yeah, so
even home games.
You used to have surefire wins with United. You'd go into a game and you think nothing less than 3 points is good enough or viable, to be honest. But
Now every single game, it's like 50-50, 60-40, whatever you
When was the last time we won an away game?
Don't.
Paris.
I think it might be in Paris. I think someone said in the comments it might be in Paris.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd have to double check on that. But if it's Paris,
Just
that's
outrageous. Like,
that's painful. I mean, our next game isn't as Ronaldo might have got a bit confused because they've been advertising it on BT as City, Manchester United versus City. But
Thank God for that.
The next match is Leicester City at home. So
that's not an easy game.
Would you like to see a similar lineup to today? Would you like to see?
I'd love to see Mason start. To be honest, on that right side. Dan James, I thought was good today. I think
the thing is like it may not look on the stats take all of. There was so many balls he put in where they were just in that right position where they were just too far in front of the keeper for him to come forward and get it, and they were just too far in front. Like, and it was in that gap, and no one seems to be making the run. I mean, like I hope that if Martial comes back in, maybe the movement might be a bit better because, as we said, Rashford was very poor today.
If you're looking at the first half, our most creative player, probably our best player in the first half, was Juan Mata.
Juan Mata is incredible. I'll keep repeating this. I love Juan Mata. I feel like he's that player that you need to get between the lines.
Yeah, his quality's like never wavered. He's obviously getting up there in age. He's not in his prime anymore. But if you're talking about technicality and creative, he's probably up there with the best that we've got. And he did look to make a little bit of a difference today in the first half, and so in the creating chances, etc. But we just didn't have the cutting edge. It was the clinicality that we was missing.
But then would you say that maybe if Juan Mata's getting up there in age, someone like Gomez or someone maybe like James Garner or, I mean, if we're going a bit further down, Dylan Levitt, someone like that, maybe if you then sit as a 3, have a defensive midfielder, Pogba and one of them, then the creativity could be there. Yeah. If we, with someone who maybe has a bit more defensive output on, it's just a bit younger, like for a longer term solution. Would you like to see like a flatter midfield 3 instead of one player being so progressive forward?
I mean, there was a real. You saw the gap in class in the midfield today. Anyway, I don't know why you introduced Matic into it as well. I'd like to see Pogba playing a bit more forward. I think he showed today that in playing deep, he drives forward well, but you need to. That's when he was at his best for Ollie, when he was playing in behind Rashford. I don't know why he's not playing there now. And maybe a holding midfield 2 of. I'd like to see Fred back in the team as well. To be honest, I know for disciplinary reasons or whatever, booking his wedding, his second wedding during pre-season or whatever. Yeah. But I'd like to see him given another chance. I know he's split opinions, but I think you have to maybe put a bit of trust in him in the second season.
Go on, Ronaldo.
What question I'm going to ask you is, what happens when Martial comes back now? Because we've seen James perform
on the left. Because what happens now when Martial comes back?
I think it's going to be very interesting. I feel like this is the thing. Like people say, the squad depth's bad, but it isn't. Like in certain areas, it's probably a bit too much. Like we have Rashford, Martial, and James who can play on the left. We probably also.
So what do you think the front three is going to be then? That's like what I'm asking. If Martial,
I mean, if Rashford can't find his form, I'd probably say. I mean, it's not a big thing, but Rashford maybe has to take a step back. I mean, Greenwood.
Wait, Rashford won't start. He will start.
I think Greenwood doesn't make the step in. I feel like James probably gets pushed back out to the right, maybe in the match. I feel like
that's what I'm saying. How can you, at this point, if you've seen of the past couple of performances, it's going to be hard for Ollie to justify not playing James on the left.
Yeah. I mean, like if Martial's injury is a bit more, I don't know how serious his injury actually is. If he doesn't come back straight away, then James has another couple of games where he's overperforming on the right, performing on the left. Then maybe you can make the case of you can't really drop him.
Leicester's midfield could run an absolute muck over us as well.
I think that's why we need that flat three.
Rashford's got more ability and more quality than Daniel James does.
Yeah, definitely.
But James is performing right now on the left, so that's going to be difficult.
I think that's majorly where the problem lies, is the midfield. I think the strikers are. I've had a bad couple of days, but the creation's been good. But the fact is, the midfield's not good enough at supporting the defence.
Yeah,
and then transitioning, they get overrun. They're not as combative as they are, because Pogba tries, but he doesn't get in there as much. And you only have McTominay, who probably isn't. There's no certain defensive midfielder, and that was a problem that people said we should have addressed in the transfer window. But at the same time, is that you can probably make one. Matic is the only one we have, but he's not the best.
Yeah,
and if you get someone like James Garner in, I mean, I'm going to keep saying James Garner, but I'll Levitt, someone who's a bit more, probably more Garner, not Levitt, but Garner who's a bit more combative as well. Like you have 3 midfielders who'll get into the tackles and stuff, then maybe that might work a bit better.
We've got people in the comments saying that we missed Lukaku today.
No, come on. No,
what's he take?
The fact is that everyone's probably saying this because we put a lot of crosses into the box, but Lukaku was never in the box. He just liked to go wide.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
he did
they're saying that he gambled on crosses aerial threat, but obviously fans are going to say that if we end up putting one of the chances away and it was 2-1 United, and no one will be saying that.
Early on, everyone was saying, "Oh, this Sanchez would have changed this game." The problem that people are doing is they're just picking out places like, "Oh, we sold that player. Maybe because he's not here now, we could say, oh, we could change things." Like, it's not.
Dan James has as many Premier League goals as Alexis Sanchez scored for Manchester United, and Dan James only played 4 games.
Exactly. You can't say that they would have changed that game because the fact is that when they played, they didn't change those sort of games. Like Lukaku went on a spell of, I think we said today, like 10
games,
without scoring, and those were like against teams like Southampton, your Palaces, and that. I mean, the best performance he had was against PSG, like where he scored 2 goals.
Yeah.
So like you can't really say they would have changed that game because they didn't in the past, and you can't say that they would have done anything differently than what they did last season. So it's a bit of a way.
I don't know if you got Jacob saying that Pogba was very hit and miss. We often say that about Pogba, but Pogba is literally. But when Pogba hits, he hits in a way that not many people in the world can. So that's why we get a lot of this hate and a lot of this like aggro towards Pogba. And then if United don't have Pogba, or when we don't have Pogba, we even saw Pogba pull up at the end of the game. If Pogba doesn't play, then everyone that gives him grief are going to see what United looks like when he doesn't play. Look how we look like when he does play. Imagine when you lose a player of the caliber of Pogba.
I mean, we were just going through the fixtures. We've obviously won first game against Chelsea 4-0. We drew to Wolves, which I think is a big fixture, so that's not actually a bad result.
Palace game is just
Palace.
I think we beat Palace. I think we're looking a lot differently into the season, but that was shocking.
I think the Palace and the Southampton ones are the real big ones. And now we have Leicester and West Ham, 2 games, which
difficult games.
2 difficult games. So we're looking at, but Pogba's going to be important in those. I think, like you said, hit and miss, but the fact is you pay him to do that. You pay him to make the riskier passes because if they come off, then you're in and sort of thing. Yeah. But yeah, we'll be doing watch-longs for all of the matches coming up. We'll have people at the ground on the Leicester match, but that's all we have time for today. Hopefully,
gotta keep the faith somehow.
Gotta keep the faith. We've got an international break to maybe have a bit of calm down, have a bit of a think, have a bit of see what happens. But thanks for tuning in. Like the video, subscribe, and we hope that obviously the next game is better. See you in a bit.